You're listening to the Next Level Sports Podcast, Episode 0, with Ryan Mazurkivich, introducing this podcast and letting you know what to expect from this show.
Welcome to the Next Level Sports Podcast. Take your game to the next level today by learning mental skills from top-level coaches and professionals.
Welcome, everyone, to the Next Level Sports Podcast. I am your host, Hypnotist, and TEDxHartford speaker Ryan Mazurkivich, and welcome to Episode 0. So Episode 0 is really all about getting to know where this podcast came from, where it's going to be going, giving you a little background into how this came about, give you a little preview of some of the episodes, and let you know a little bit about myself. So the goal of this podcast is to bring top-level coaches and professionals on to provide valuable skills and information to high school and college athletes, primarily in the baseball and softball fields. And, you know, one of the things when I was thinking about this podcast was there's so many kids out there that could benefit from mental training, not even just in sports, but in life in general. And high school and college are really some of the best times to learn these skills. Your brains are still in that learning state, that development state. And by learning these skills at such a young age, it can not only take you to the next level in sports and athletics, but also in life. These are valuable skills that you'll be able to learn throughout this series of podcast episodes. And going around to local high schools in Connecticut, I found a couple things. One, that mental training isn't as big as it should be. So that could either be from a number of reasons, to where they don't know that it's available to them. They don't have the budget to hire a professional to come in and work with the team. But these same kids still can greatly benefit from this. So to put it out there for the greater good, the reason why I'm doing this podcast is to allow high school athletes and college athletes to get the benefits of mental training if they normally wouldn't have access to certain people, or if their school doesn't have the budget, or they don't have the personal budget to hire a professional. They can still receive some of the same benefits and improve their game, improve their life in general. So that's kind of like the background as to why I created this podcast. And I'm going to be bringing on some fantastic guests. So I'm going to be bringing on professionals in the psychology field, the sports psychology field. I'm going to be bringing on some fellow hypnotists of mine who work with athletes. I'm going to be bringing on high school coaches, college coaches, professional scouts, professional coaches, professionals in the sports psychology field. The episode number 1, the very first guest, is going to be Lauren Abarca. She is one of the mental conditioning coordinators for the New York Yankees. Episode 2 is going to be Gus Constantino. He's a former professional baseball player playing in a number of independent leagues. He now runs his own training facility. Episode number 3, Eagle Moon Rays. She is a Reiki master, a hypnotist, just an amazing mind, body, soul person. And she's worked with players in the major leagues right now. So the interviews are going to be vast. There's going to be some guests are going to be talking a lot about tactics, drills, and tips, stuff that you can practically do. There's going to be other guests that come in for like the motivational speaking. So you're going to hear some stories of people that have overcome obstacles to get to where they got. You're going to hear inspirational stories where people have come from either a difficult background or have overcome injuries and accidents to really step forward and create success from what could have been nothing. And then there's going to be a lot of talk about the mental side, the mindset. And I plan to also bring on different professionals in the industry. So be that professionals in minor league baseball, both on the field and in the front office. And for some people, it is their goal to play professionally, to play in college even. And for the people that don't get that opportunity to go on and play professionally, they may want to learn of other careers that are available in the sports that they love. So I'll be bringing on the general manager for the AA Hartford Yard Goats, the AA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. And he'll explain his story, which is incredible as well. I have friends that have overcome tremendous obstacles, and they're such a motivation, such an inspiration, and I can't wait for you to hear all these guests that I have lined up. So that's kind of the background of where the show started and where I want to take it. I want this to be something that you guys listen to, that you guys share with your friends. And, back in my playing days, and I'll get into my background a little bit later, one of the things that was always the best for me when I played was on the field during batting practice or in the locker room before the game, after the game, when you just got to have like a one-on-one conversation with your teammates or your coaches. Being on the field during batting practice, standing with somebody else, and just going over different strategies and techniques and mindsets. And I always found that was the place for some of the best learning. And the experience I want you guys to have is that you just were in the outfield during batting practice or in the locker room after a game, and you just walked into this amazing conversation between a couple people. And that's kind of that experience I want you to have. I know if you go to, a professional baseball game and the teams are out on the field, they're taking batting practice, and you're up in the stands and you see a couple guys in the outfield, they're just talking and having this deep conversation. And I know at least myself, if not everybody else, is sitting there wondering, what are these guys talking about? I wonder what they're talking about. If I can only listen to what they're talking about. And that is one of my goals, is to kind of bring that experience from the field, that information from the field to your guys' ears, so that you can listen to some of these great stories, tips, tools, and techniques and strategies, and then begin to model and mold that into your own set of skills, your own game, your own life, so that you can always take yourself to the next level. And that's really the background of how I created this podcast and where I wanted this podcast to go for you, the listener. And on the note of my background comes from playing baseball. I never made it to any of the professional ranks, but I was a 4-year starter in high school. I played in junior college, and then I played around 10 years in some adult semi-professional leagues. And I had quite a few interesting, eye-opening experiences throughout that time. And when we were 14, our Babe Ruth team played in the state tournament. This was a big deal for us. If we win, we can go on to the regionals. We can have a chance at going to the Babe Ruth World Series. And I remember we were playing Trumbull, Connecticut. And there's a player on the team named Craig Breslow. And Craig played a number of years in the major leagues for the Marlins, Red Sox, Twins, a number of different teams. And I'll tell you that when we played Trumbull, he was not the most feared person on the team at the time. No disrespect, Craig. I hope to have you on as a guest, and then we can talk a little bit more about that. But he was not the most feared person on the team. That was a different player. And I remember going up to the field, and the kind of feeling on our team was like, boy, I hope we don't have to face that other guy today. If anything, we want to face this Craig Breslow guy. We know at least we have a fighting chance against him. So it's just funny how, like, wow, like, it stuck out to me that, wow, the guy that wasn't the top star made it professionally. And I have no idea what happened to the other player, how far he advanced, but it always kind of stuck me, like, wow, how did that happen? And then translating on into after I was done playing in junior college and I was bouncing around a couple semi-professional leagues, I played with some of the most talented people I have ever seen. And I started to, like, look around. I'm like, how come nobody has signed these guys? How come these guys didn't come from affiliated ball? Which we did have a couple players that did play affiliated. We had one pitcher that played affiliated, and I'll tell you what, on our team, he was the third best player. We had another infielder and catcher that played rookie ball, and he was, no disrespect, I love the guy. He was maybe the third best offensive player we had. So I'm like, well, how come these players that aren't the standout elite level players on our team are the ones that played professionally? What set them apart? And what I noticed is a lot of it was mental. It was mindset. It was the ability to overcome adversity, whether it was making an error in the field or getting a bad called strike on you or striking out in a big spot. The super uber talented kids that never advanced past high school or college when talent-wise they should have. A lot of it was because of what was going on between the ears. Whether it was, having a bad attitude, bringing the team down, just letting little stupid things bother them to the point that they couldn't perform up to that level. And it was just like, wow. And then these other kids that did go on to play professionally, they're the type of person that would let things roll off their back, that would kind of, in some ways kind of not necessarily laugh off, but shrug off a mistake, a bad pitch, an error. They were able to rebound a lot faster, and they were just more in the present moment, where all that matters is the next pitch. All that matters is the next at-bat. All that matters is the next ball that comes my way. As opposed to the guys that were throwing helmets, throwing bats, throwing the gloves down, kicking dirt, swearing. I got nothing wrong with swearing if you're frustrated, but basically after that's over, you need to let that go. But these guys would hold on to that. And it would throw off not only the rest of the game, it would throw off the rest of the team. These were guys that were the stars of our team. We were looking for them to lead us to victory. And, a couple times we won a couple championships, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the times, the longer and longer it went on, the more that their self-destructive habits would be a trickle-down effect for the rest of the team. It takes so much effort on the coach's part, the player's part, to build a good chemistry in the team and to build that up to something that is super valuable and super positive. And I'll tell you, it only takes seconds to tear all that down. So throughout this podcast series, those are some of the things that we're going to go into as to how not only a positive attitude and mental game can improve your game, but also teaching some of the lessons as to how the negative can not only affect your own game, but can actually affect a team in general. I hate to use the word, but it's been thrown around there in different sports throughout different columns that are written that this player, such and such player, I hate to use the word, is a cancer in the clubhouse. He's not a good team guy. It happens to the highest level of professional ranks. And that's not what I want from you guys. What I want from you guys is to be able to have that mental strength, that mental toughness, to be able to see things for what they are, not worse than they are, and to be able to really take your game and then apply that not only to your game but to your life, and to take everything to the next level. And I want you guys to succeed. Whatever that success is going to be for you, I want you to get there. And I want you to use these tools, these techniques, these tips, strategies, stories of motivation, stories of inspiration to help you get there. I want to help reduce that learning curve. You know, so many people have done this successfully already. We would be a little foolish not to borrow some of their insights, some of their wisdom, some of their learnings, and model it into our own game and our own life. Now, predominantly, most of these episodes are going to be me interviewing a really awesome guest for you guys. Occasionally, like today, there's going to be some episodes that's solo, just me and you talking together. When we have some of these solo episodes in the future, it's really because I'm going to be teaching you specific techniques that I've taught to other athletes so that you can use these same techniques in your game. And one of the things that I love doing when I work with athletes with sports hypnosis is to be able to find stuff that you're going to do anyway during the game and then apply a technique, a skill, or a suggestion to that to make your game better, to get you to perform without conscious effort on your part. You guys are going to probably get sick of hearing this quote by the time the podcast is over, but one of my favorite quotes of all time was when Yogi Berra played for the Yankees and he was on an incredible hot streak. A news reporter came up to him after the game and said, "Yogi, you are on a tremendous hot streak. What are you thinking about when you're at the plate?" And Yogi said, "I can't think and hit at the same time." And it's 100% true that if you're focusing in on anything else other than the moment, the pitch, the at-bat, where the ball's going, any other kind of thinking is just going to distract you away from performing at your top level. So you guys, it's one of my favorite quotes. Some of you are going to love it. Some of you are probably going to be like, "Oh no, here comes the Yogi Berra quote again." But really, that's what this is all about, to teach you guys some techniques, some things that you're going to do anyway during the game. So for example, in baseball, in softball, one of the fundamental parts of that game is in order for you to get a hit, you kind of have to hold the bat. So you're going to be holding the bat anyway. What if there is a way that you can trigger in your mind, an anchor in your body, that every time you grip that bat, it's all the feelings of all your best at-bats, all the confidence of your best games every time you grab that bat. So it's something that you're going to do anyway, whether it's at batting practice, during the game, doing some drills off to the side. We're just going to teach you how to perform better, doing that same exact thing, gripping the bat. And we're also going to teach you ways to kind of clear your head, remove negative thoughts, remove errors. We're going to go through a bunch of techniques in some solo episodes, and I'm really excited to record those and to bring those to you as this grows and grows. And I know there's going to be some questions about it, so the elephant in the room, I'm just going to knock it out. For the people that are a little bit older listening to this podcast that are from Connecticut, you may recognize the intro to the song. A long time ago, back in the 90s, we had a professional hockey team here, an NHL team, the Hartford Whalers, and they had far and away, I'll debate anybody on this, they had in the 90s the best goal song. It was called the Brass Bonanza, and the intro and outro to the show, the music, is a cover of the Brass Bonanza by an amazing band called the Zambonis. And when you want to get down to it, a super niche area, you can't get any more niche than an original band that only sings about hockey. And I was lucky enough to see these guys perform several times, and they are fantastic. They are so into hockey. When they perform on stage, they have their hockey jerseys, their hockey helmets, their hockey gloves. If you guys ever get a chance to listen to their stuff, to see them live, they are fantastic. And I couldn't be more proud that they gave me the permission to use their version of the Brass Bonanza on the podcast for the opening and the outro of the show. And eventually, I'm going to have them on as guests, and I'm so proud to have them on. So it'll be one of the few times we talk a little hockey, but I'm happy to bring them on to give a little plug to them as a thank you for letting me use their music in the intro and the outro of the show. To the people in Connecticut, it's a song that's near and dear to our hearts, and we're happy to keep the tradition of the Whalers going. Even though the team moved out in the 90s, in the state of Connecticut, it's very much still alive in the hearts of the fans here, and we're all very passionate about that. Just the same way that you guys are passionate about your game, taking your game to the next level, perhaps going on playing in college, perhaps going on and playing professionally. We all have passions, and we're going to, throughout this podcast series, be able to take your passions and teach you the skills you need to turn your passion into something that's greater than that. So it could be taking your passion of baseball and playing professionally. It could be your talent of softball and going on to play professionally in that. Or maybe even to take your talent in both to go into a career of coaching, or to go into a career of maybe sports psychology, or maybe an administrative job, a scouting job, maybe a front office job with a professional team. So that's a little bit of the background of why I created this show, what I want your experience to be, what you can expect. And I look forward to you guys. Let me know what you think of these shows. So reach out through the website, nextlevelsportspodcast.com. Hit me up on the social media, at Instagram, at nextlevelsports.com. As of episode 0, I'll be honest to say that I do not have the Twitter account set up yet. So shame on me for that, but I'm trying to get everything done, to get everything released to you guys. I've had a couple people ask, why is April 16th the release date of this podcast? Well, quite simply, up in the Northeast, the Red Sox and the Yankees is a giant rivalry with the players, with the fans, with the media. And April 16th, 2019 is the very first game of the year between the Yankees and Red Sox. So I figured, why not put it out on that day? So that's everything as to why this podcast was created. I know I'm getting a little long in the tooth and rambling here a little bit, so we're going to get right into it. Coming up next is going to be episode 1. It's going to be Lauren Abarca, the Yankees mental conditioning coordinator. She covers all the minor leagues for the Yankees. An incredible person, very knowledgeable. I can't wait for you to hear her episode and then all the episodes that come after that. So again, subscribe to the podcast, like us over at YouTube, like us on Instagram, follow us, and then give us some feedback. Go on and leave your comments, give a rating on the podcast. And if there's any guests that you would like to see on the podcast, shoot us a message, shout us out on social media. We'll see if we can get that person on. If there's anything that you would like to learn from this podcast, this show is by me, for you, the listener. And I'm here to serve what you guys want and what you guys need. So if you guys want to have episodes based around a certain aspect of the game, let me know. If you guys would like to hear from a certain level coach, player, scout, or professional, let us know. We're going to reach out. We're going to get that person on for you. So again, I appreciate you guys listening and listening to me ramble right now. But I can't wait to serve more episodes, serve you guys better, and create really just a movement of everybody taking their games and their lives to the next level. So thank you guys very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Oh, and I almost forgot. It's the end of the show. let's kick it over to the Zambonis.